This is Charles-Henri Sanson, the most famous executioner in history. That wasn't his goal. He didn't want to be an executioner at all. But this was his family legacy. There aren't too many people who consider the killing of other people as their desired career choice. That is why it was a tradition to pass the job down from father to son. The Sanson family got into this particular family business through marriage. Charles Sanson, who was Charles-Henri's great-grandfather, married the daughter of an executioner. He acted as his assistant for over 10 years, until he was pressed into service after his father-in-law was convicted of being a pimp, which is someone who forces people into prostitution for his own profit. Ironically, Sanson's first execution was that of his mentor and father-in-law in 1688. Must have made for an interesting conversation with his wife when he broke it to her. The job of executioner was passed down to Charles-Henri in 1778 after his father Jean-Baptiste Sanson suffered a stroke. Charles-Henri was the executioner in Paris, and he had 6 brothers working as executioners in smaller cities throughout France. Sanson started off his career with various methods of execution. Nobles were beheaded with a sword, while an axe was used for fortunate commoners. Others were hanged, and the truly unlucky were broken with the wheel, a particularly brutal form of execution where every bone in the person's body was broken by being rolled over by a wagon wheel or having it slammed down on their body. The process was typically started at the feet and hands, and then would work towards the more vital areas to cause the victim to suffer as long as possible. In 1791, Sanson's job changed. A law was passed requiring all executions to be by decapitation. As the French Revolution progressed, there were more and more prisoners to execute. As a result, Sanson was very much in favor of the new beheading device that was suggested by Dr. Joseph Ignace Gleidson. The device became known as the guillotine, and made Sanson's job much easier, but the pace of the executions kept increasing. Sanson would go on to execute, by his own count, 2,548 people during the French Revolution. The victims included King Louis XVI, Queen Marie Antoinette, the King's sister Elizabeth, the famous scientist Antoine Lavoisier, the beautiful assassin Charlotte Corday, and eventually many leaders of the Revolution, including Georges Danton, Camille Desmoulins, and finally Maximilien Robespierre. In his career, Charles-Henri Sanson executed close to 3,000 people. He died in 1804 of natural causes. The Sansons continued to be the official executioners of France until 1847, when money problems, caused by the lack of executions, led to Henri Clement Sanson selling the guillotine to a pawn shop. He was found out when the first execution in years was ordered. France ended up buying the device back. They then forced Henri Clement to do the execution, and then he was promptly fired, and thus ended the legacy of the most famous family of executioners. Tomorrow, tune in for more stories from the guillotine. We will answer such questions as, did the head still live after it was cut off? Also, we will hear about the woman who behaved differently than the rest, and changed the course of the Reign of Terror. We will also have some last words from the guillotined. See you then.